We have a 2006 Lexus GX460 and we're going to be replacing the front brake pads and rotors. These brake calipers or dual piston, so you may need some specialty tools to compress the caliper piston. We had one lug with a locking key. Make sure you always start the job making sure you have a key with a vehicle with a locking lug. So it's a good idea to check your brake fluid level before doing a brake job so that when you compress the caliper pistons, it doesn't make the fluid level in your reservoir overflow. Like in this situation, there's too much brake fluid. So what happens is as your brake pads wear out, the fluid migrates into the caliper piston cavities. When you push the caliper pistons in when you're servicing the brakes, putting on new pads, the fluid will then move up in your reservoir. But the common mistake people make is as the pads are wearing down and they check the fluid level and they see that the levels drop, they add more fluid. They shouldn't be doing that. What they should be doing is verifying that the pads aren't overworn and need to be replaced. So I have a suction tool like this to draw any type of fluid out. So if it's too full and you haven't compressed the pistons yet, use this suction tool to remove excess brake fluid in your reservoir. That's how much excess fluid came out. Alright, so we're doing the left front brake system. So to get access to the nuts and bolts easier, just turn the steering wheel to the right a little bit. So these caliper pins, they're held in place with these cotter pins, so I'm pulling these out. There's one. Okay, that one just flew away. And then these pins just come right out. And once a pin is out, you can remove these springs here. There. And once the spring is out, pull the pads out. This pad's almost down to nothing. Now get yourself a bucket because we're going to have to remove the caliper assembly and support it so we don't overstretch the brake line. You got two 17mm bolts, mounting bolts for the caliper. Okay. Now we got to compress these 4 caliper pistons back into the caliper. So that's where this tool comes into play. Alright, then I reverse the direction. And there. These pistons have all been recessed. Keep the rotor from moving around. You can take one of your lug nuts, just spin it on. That'll hold it in place. We mount the caliper back onto the steering knuckle. So what I like to do is use this CRC disc brake plier and put it between the new brake pad and the shim. You can take a wire brush and clean these contact surfaces down. Put a little bit of lubricant right on the contact surfaces here. So you could use this synthetic braking caliper grease. That's your wear indicator right there. Yeah. And these are your caliper pins. I'll just clean them up with a wire brush a little bit. That should make it slide in the hole better. And the kit comes with new cotter pins. That goes in the hole right here. This is a new replacement spring, so that lines up with the hole of the brake pads. And then this point over here goes into the hole of the brake pad. Like that. There. There's an electrical clip here. Then after you put on the new pads, check your fluid level, and if it's still too high, you may want to suck some more fluid out. But don't forget, you got to pump the brakes to force the pistons up against the new brake pads. And we're done.